Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now with me, Mubina Kapasi, and Cheryl D'Souza, and it's time for our BNSN Lens segment. Today, we're going to throw the spotlight on State Bank of India. Firstly, what a rally and what leadership seen by this stock. In fact, this move from 15,000 to 16,000 that we have seen on the Nifty 50 has not been led by the private banks but by State Bank of India being the top performing stock as it just hovers around that lifetime high. It delivered its first quarter numbers. Post that, we saw a little bit of a cut come by in the stock price. But you know what was impressive is that the asset quality was not that bad. The slippage figure was not that bad. So let's talk a bit more about State Bank of India, about the chart pattern seen as well. Brokerages too have been pretty optimistic. Credit Suisse, JP Morgan maintaining an overweight or an outperform stance. CLSA maintaining a buy. So let's welcome on the show now Kunal Bothra as well as Shahina Mukadam. Good morning to both of you. Kunal, let's start off with you first. What a rally seen in State Bank of India. You know, I know in the morning we spoke about a lot of the private financial names like Kotak, HDFC Limited. But do you think that there's more room for an up move in a state bank?
Good morning, Mubina. I think, SBI, for example, is showing a fantastic chart pattern, not just on the last 2 days or 3 days, but there is a very peculiar behavior which the stock is exhibiting. So, the stock has this tendency, whenever you see a stock, going through a breakout, it goes through a rhythmic price action. Now, for SBI, it's been a very classical kind of chart because from those, March 2020 lows, whenever the stock has managed to break past about those psychological hurdles, whether it was a level of 250, for example, for SBI first, 300, then 400, odd levels. Every time the stock has managed to surpass those kind of levels, it's changed its range dramatically. What the stock is right now showing is a flag pattern breakout, and a flag pattern breakout, as you can see on the charts as well, is showing a flag pattern breakout, which means that the stock went through a time-wise correction and then moved up higher. You see the three different types of correction which I was pointing out. So one was a time correction, the other was a price correction, and the third one was more of a flag pattern correction for SBI. All of these three corrections types of corrections have resulted into a new trend for SBI post the consolidation. So I believe this time around as well, the stock would exhibit very, very similar kind of chart patterns. Would be of the belief that SBI should continue to march up higher. So it's possible that after such a kind of a steep rally, the stock they do go through a bit of a choppy kind of a phase, volatile kind of a phase, remains in a tight band. But the near-term trend for SBI looks to be more on the stronger side. So what was earlier, for example, a support of 400, now gets shifted higher to almost 430, 440 for SBI on the upside. So traders and investors can look at a buy even at current levels for the stock.
All right, that's what Kunal's take is on SBI, saying that the near-term trend for SBI is definitely upwards. Shahina, good morning. What is your take coming in on SBI? The slippage rate is actually lowest in the industry. You also have the asset quality being maintained. What's your view on SBI going ahead? What should investors do? Stay put in this particular counter, or if someone wants to go ahead and invest, fundamentally makes sense to invest at current levels?
Yeah, I believe, an investor can take any dip that is there or even at current levels to add positions or investments for the longer term in SBI. Like if you saw in this last first quarter numbers, the bank has a number of levers in its hand, given its size, to actually even overcome any slowdowns that are there and report healthy profits. Like for example, in this first quarter, almost 60 days, there was a slowdown and a lockdown. Still, despite that, they have managed to report decent profits. And this is because of the measures that they took. One is, of course, provisions were lower because they've managed to contain the provisions or the incremental bad loans by actually keeping a check on the loans that were given out. But over the next full year, they are targeting something like a 9% growth in terms of loan book, which actually can show very well on the top line in terms of both NIMs as well as in the profit margins. So I think to that extent they are able to control their the net NPA also, which was marginally higher at about 5.3 versus slightly lower than 5% in the March quarter. So I think in terms of valuation, in terms of their ability to actually raise funds, like you have the potential for future monetizing of some of the subsidiaries, profitable subsidiaries like SBI Mutual Fund and some of their non-life businesses. So I think to that extent, SBI remains one of the best picks in the banking sector. And especially if you are looking at the PSU space, then it is only SBI. And of course, I remain positive on some of the other private sector banks like ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank, Axis Bank.